Cedar Creek Marina. If you type in Cedar Creek Marina or Scoreboard Cedar Creek Marina, you'll find the address. You can get there easily. I've been there several times. It's a great venue, great location, right there on the water. Never you fear. They've got heaters and everything that you need to keep yourself warm and toasty, whether it's libation-oriented or heater-oriented. I know I will be there. I know Dan will be there. I know Brian Wilson will be there. Now, Brian's starting his show from Watertown, and then I think here's the schedule of events for those coming out to see us. It's officially from 4 to 8. Brian's doing his show from 3 until 5 from Watertown. The dynamic trio of Hand, Murphy, and Mandis will take over at 5. Brian will skedaddle in the Red Ryder from Watertown to Mount Juliet, and then join us roughly around 6 o'clock, and then we'll go till 8 o'clock on air and perhaps later in person. Come out and see us, Cedar Creek Marina. A fun time will be had by most. I don't say all because I don't control you. I don't own you. If you want to go out and have a hell of a good time, good for you. If you want to go out and have a poor time, well, there you go. So come out and see us 4 to 8 o'clock. Are you, can you hear that? I just want to make sure you can hear it.
Hear what?
The phone.
Yeah, but I'm behind on some other
okay.
stuff.
I'm just checking. I'm just making sure. Okay, so if you're calling right now, stop calling right now because Bell can't answer the phone. 615-737-9986. Just load them up, and all of you can call and be there, anxiously anticipating an answer. We've got lots to get into. Obviously, the debate last night. I hesitate. I mean, any VP choices for anyone? I hesitate delving into it too much. I don't begrudge those that do. I could diagnose it and break it down if you wanted me to, but it is an exercise in, I don't want to say futility, although that's the phrase that came to mind. It is most certainly an exercise that has no conclusion that is beneficial for any of the candidates on the stage. Let me just give you real quick. Chris Christie is running to trash Trump. And that's his function at this stage. He hates Donald Trump, everything that Trump stands for. Chris Christie could not be more beneficial to Donald Trump if he were a Donald Trump plant. Nikki Haley, I call her War Barbie, because Nikki Haley is all about foreign entanglements, whether it be in Ukraine, and now apparently Nikki Haley is all about securing your identity for the internet. Of course, we already knew that, and we've already talked about it. Nikki Haley tried to lie her way out of that. Nikki Haley, you can't say things on the stump when there's receipts, if you will, and then go on stage and pretend that it is a more subtle or nuanced position that you suddenly have when you stated, I mean, Ron DeSantis repeated what Nikki Haley said verbatim. Verbatim. You know, you said that the first thing you're going to do is get the algorithms from the social media companies, and the second thing you're going to do is make sure everybody's identity is there and available if you want to be online on social media. Huh? It's pretty rough stuff. And DeSantis called her out on it. Ron DeSantis is performing, I think, very well. I think his last two debate performances, this debate with the other three on stage and the one that he did against Gavin Newsom, acquitted him very well. And I think for most of us, Ron DeSantis is well positioned in 2028, whether Donald Trump wins in 2024 or not. And I am of the opinion that any reasonable mind, I mean, I forgive his quirkiness. I mentioned this last night on social media. I was kind of live tweeting the event as it happened. I've been accused. Did you see I was accused of calling liberals cockroaches? Yes, I was accused of that.
No lies detected.
I mean, I did not call them cockroaches. I said they act like cockroaches, which is it's a slight distinction with a difference. But anyway, I was live tweeting last night, and I mentioned Ron DeSantis was doing this weird thing with his hands. I mean, he's a socially awkward individual, but hell, I mean, who isn't? I'm a socially awkward individual in some ways. We have a few of them on the radio station. I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but enough about Mandis. So he stands there and he doesn't touch the podium. Did anyone else notice that? He was there. He had his hands down. It was very awkward. If you're watching, Super Talk TV on? Okay, I'll get to the title in a minute. So if you're watching on Supertalk TV, I'm going to give you a visual demonstration of what he was doing. But it was very odd. Normally when people are at a podium, they have a natural propensity to clutch the podium, to hold on to either side of the podium, either with one hand or another hand. You use the podium, you lean on the podium, you put one hand on the podium while you gesticulate with the other hand. By the way, speaking of gesticulation, Vivek Ramaswamy, hey, get rid of the finger, buddy. I don't need stop with the finger. I don't need the finger. He's constant with the finger. And not this finger, that finger. Bell. Awful. Not this one, that one. Normally people lean on the podium or grip the podium, not in an aggressive way, but it's just natural that you would put your hands on the podium. DeSantis wasn't doing that last night, and I noticed it in a couple of clips. He was doing this, like the podium's here, and he's just standing like this. He's standing like this. You got that shot, Bill? He's just standing like that. Hands right beside his, like he's worried that you're about to steal his wallet.
Robotic.
Yeah, it was odd. It was weird. But that said, and someone said, oh, you're coming after DeSantis again. I'm not coming after DeSantis. I like DeSantis. This is not his year. And if you don't believe me, go look at the polls. Chris Christie is, Shoney's big boy, and he doesn't need to be on the stage. Vivek Ramalama Ding Dong, I like a lot of the concepts that Vivek Ramaswamy brings up. I also notice that the depth of understanding of how things are done in Washington, D.C. is a little bit shallow. And some would suggest that that's a good thing. Vivek Ramaswamy supporters would tell you, well, that's a good thing that he doesn't get Washington, D.C. because Washington, D.C. needs to be cleaned up. Well, I think you've got to understand it before you clean it up. Keith writes in and says, technically it's a lectern. Okay, Keith, I'm sorry. Lectern, is it? I guess, a podium has sides to it? Is that what we're saying? Okay. Either way, it was a fun experience. I enjoyed it, but I'm a nerd. I like watching these types of things. I seriously doubt many people did because it was on News Nation. And you know what was the most fun is watching Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo. Watching that rehabilitation project is hilarious. Chris Cuomo. Not good enough for CNN. Chris Cuomo has to leave his primetime show on #NeverCNN in disgrace because he's trying to set his brother up and get his brother off of these sexual harassment charges. Chris Cuomo, Mr. I'm going to do some pull-ups in my office just because that's what I do. It was fun to watch him and Sean Spicer. I think Mulvaney was on there. And, Morgan Ortegas was acting as an analyst, too, on News Nation. So I seriously doubt that many people watched. As far as winners and losers, the big winner last night was Donald Trump. The big loser last night was everyone else. There you go. 12:14, Supertalk 99.7 WTN. We are on a variety of platforms today, and I'm pleased to tell you about each and every one of them. Obviously, you can listen on radio on 99.7 FM. You can also join us on any internet streaming platform of your choosing. All you need to do is go there and type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN or WWTN or any variant of what I just said, and you'll get to us on TuneIn, on Spotify, on iHeart, and on and on and on it goes. And then there's our app. If you want to avail yourself of our app, I use it all the time. It's great for me. I have an iPhone, and it works perfectly. Just go to the App Store and download WWTN or Supertalk 99.7 WTN, and you can get us that way. And then, of course, there's Supertalk TV up and running. You can join in on the conversation via the F&M Bank chat line, always available for you. Supertalk TV is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I think we're still on Twitter, aren't we?
Yes.
And the title of this episode, 470, is?
Matt Murphy Show. No, Virginia, the Grinch isn't fake. He just works in government. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3. Hard candy entree.
Hard candy entree. That's good. I like that. Always a pleasure to be with you on television, on radio, and on internet streaming. So I don't normally do this, but I'm going to. I need to see if I can find the story. Hand sometimes leaves his stuff up. Oh, here it is. There it is. There we go. And because of that, I mentioned this during the crossover, if you were listening during the Chris Handa show, as we were talking about some of the matters brought up by him. I don't normally intentionally, obviously we talk about a lot of the same things because the news is what the news is. And whether it's national or statewide, I focus probably more than anyone else on the station, maybe Brian, but on the state and local matters. And yes, I've noted that Megan Barry is now running for Congress. Cemetery Megan Barry is running against Mark Green in the 7th Congressional District.
Did you see what she said her first act, if elected, was going to be?
I did not.
She's going to introduce a bill to defund the security at Arlington National Cemetery.
That's not fun. I'm trying not to laugh because that's not funny.
Yes, it is.
That's not. So no more security at Arlington National.
No more security. No more cameras.
No
more
need
gates.
for it. Right.
No extra lighting.
Maybe better entry and exit strategy.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have been in town for that. That would have been so delicious. I mean, come on, man. We're talking with Mark at the Safe House later on today, and Mark had involvement in that. Only in as much as the Safe House, Nashville Safe House, is right across the street from City Cemetery where they were meeting. Mayor Megan Barry and her security guy, where he was getting paid. Yeah. So he provided some security tapes, not really knowing what they were looking for in that matter, which is kind of interesting. We talked about that some time ago when I first got into town. So anyway, the point being is that I don't normally do this, but I want to carry over a topic that was first introduced by Mr. Hand because I think it's an interesting one. A 6-year-old boy was mauled to death by 2 Great Dane Mastiff mixes in Portland, Oregon, earlier this week. The incident occurred after the young boy's grandmother dropped him off at a home in Park Rose Heights at around 7:30 in the morning to be taken to school. Coco Miller, the owner of both dogs, told authorities upon arrival she went into the garage to care for the dogs. The young boy opened the door behind her, and one of the dogs charged at him. The other followed. Authorities then say that Miller was covered in blood and reportedly did everything she could to stop the attack, which included grabbing a gun, although she did not fire it. Well, in that case, then she did not do everything that she could have done to stop the attack. She should have killed the dogs. And by the way, understand something. I'm a 50-year-old dog owner with no kids, right? So you kind of get my dogs become your dogs become your children, and I know that I have anthropomorphic tendencies when it comes to dogs. I mean, all of my dogs have voices in my house, right? I talk for the dogs. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. But I also understand that dogs are dogs and humans are humans. And if my dog attacked someone and immediately didn't stop upon command, then I have to kill that dog to save the human. Mike Benner, Portland Police Bureau Public Information Officer, said during the press brief that the boy knew not to go around the dogs, and that's why they were in the garage. Benner said the 2 dogs were very large and very heavy, and that the owner believes that they are Great Dane Mastiff mixes. She told authorities that the dogs were actually mutts. We're going to discuss this on the show today. We will suspend discussion of this at 12:35 as we welcome a candidate for state senate on the program. Chris Spencer, a person that I've never met, is going to stop by to announce, or I think he's already announced his candidacy for state senate up in Sumner County. But we are going to speak on that matter. And it's my understanding he has a pretty huge endorsement that's going to happen at around 12:45. So we'll have Chris on, and about 12:45 we'll have a conversation with whomever it is, I'm not going to reveal it now, who is planning to endorse the candidate for state senate. This is in the next election cycle in 2024. So a little early look into some 2024 politicking. Then at 2:05 this afternoon, just to give you a little signboard on what we're doing today, Daryl Worley will stop by, country music superstar, talking about his residency during the holiday season at the Gaylord Opryland, and I'm excited about that. He's coming in studio with us at around 2:05 this afternoon. All right, you on the phones as well. A lot to do, a lot to get into. It's 12:20. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's as simple as this, folks. If you are shopping for guns or gun parts or gun accessories, or if you need training and you're not doing it at the world-famous Glock store, may I just say you're doing it wrong? And I think if you go over to the Glock store and you see the friendly faces in the retail side of things, you see the friendly faces at the training center check-in point, you see the training rooms, the Shoot 270 rooms, you meet Lenny McGill himself, you talk to all of the fine people that are there to sell you the gun of your needs or the gun of your dreams, then you'll know what I say is true, that if you're not going to the Glock store and you live in Middle Tennessee, you're doing it wrong. There's a reason that they are the biggest and the best, because they are the biggest and the best. They have a better selection, obviously, of Glocks, but any gun that you can shake a stick at, long guns, short guns, they've got them. They have accessories in their retail shop. They've got the training center, and they ship to just about anywhere in the United States of America. And as a matter of fact, I'll say anywhere in the United States of America. Glockstore.com for more information about what they do at the world-famous Glock store. Plenty of Christmas gift opportunities at the Glock store. All you need to do is go by that website, glockstore.com or shoot270.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and a good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. 1225. Coming up, a political candidate in the studio, a gentleman that I've never met, but I look forward to it. Chris Spencer is in and around the Sumner County area, and he's running for state senate. He's introducing himself and then getting a pretty big endorsement later on in the show. So that's breaking news at about 1245, 1250. Today on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Until then, me, you, the telephone calls up and running. 615-737-9986. I asked the question. Let me give you my really quick take, because I have, over the years that I've done this radio show, I've been a dog lover and a dog owner virtually all of my adult life. I was, just to give you a little backstory, because I heard a caller that called Hands Show and indicated that, hey, if you had a bad experience with a dog when you were a kid, that scars you for life. Well, I had a bad experience with the dog when I was a kid. I got bitten.
I did too. I got attacked by a boxer one time. I'm not scarred.
I got attacked by a Springer Spaniel, my grandfather's hunting dog, who I was riding back from a hunting trip with the Springer Spaniel and a Labrador Retriever that my grandfather had, and I wanted to ride in the back with him. And he let me. My brother was in the front seat of the truck. It was a covered bed of the truck. He had a hard shell on top. And the Lab and the Springer Spaniel got into it. And they kind of fought for a second and then broke apart. And then the Springer Spaniel had like a little boogie on his eye. And I was young. I was like 8. And I thought he was crying. And I wanted to make him feel better. And so I reached over to pet him, and he bit me twice on my side. We had left the country and in the city. My grandfather told me later on, he said, we were in the middle of town when this happened. And he pulled over the truck and got me out of the back and got me into the truck. And my grandfather told me, he said, if we had not been in town, I would have shot and killed the dog right then. And this is a beloved hunting dog that he had for, years.
Wow.
He said, I would have shot him. No, you don't attack people. But luckily that did not happen. But I'm not scarred for life. However, I would say this. Here's the deal. When you own a bull breed, a pit bull breed or a bull mastiff or what are described as the bully breeds, you have to have an understanding as a dog owner that you have a different type of animal. Here's the comparison that I would make. And I hesitate to do this because I got to shift gears, but we'll pick it back up in the 1 o'clock hour. I hesitate to use the gun comparison because invariably people talk about the Second Amendment, and that's not what I'm discussing here. I'm discussing the differences between dog breeds, and I'm comparing it to the differences between guns. If I own a .22 rifle and I own a .308 Daniel Defense M4 or V7, and I do own both of those things, which is a more dangerous gun? They're both dangerous. They both can get on you. They both can kill you. Which is more dangerous? They're both guns. So when you own a golden retriever can bite you. But I promise you this, if a golden retriever gets on you, or if a chihuahua gets on you, or a cocker spaniel gets on you, it's going to be potentially less damaging, maybe not in every case, but the potential for damage is far greater if a pit bull gets on you. Similar to the gun analogy. They're both dangerous, and they need to be treated as something that you need to get training with and for. And I understand that dogs are different because dogs are living creatures. But dogs are trainable creatures. They are domesticated animals. And so at the beginning of my radio career, I was very much in camp ban pit bull. And I'm not anymore. I am in the camp of banning bad owners. Because it is an ownership responsibility to take care of the animal and to understand the animal that you have and the potential for danger. I'll give you one other example. John Henry, my rescue Great Dane, who's now 13. I had only had him I got him when he was 2. Maybe less than a year, and he bit someone. He bit a kid. A kid that, well, it was my nephew, Alex. My brother was visiting. He bit Alex. Thankfully, everything was okay. But I was cognizant from then on that he had the ability to do that. I was aware of it. And so when we would go into social settings, this is a 120-pound dog. He's a good-looking dog. But I recognized that he was more aggressive with smaller people, kids. And so I was very careful around kids to the point that I would tell kids, no, it's not a good time. Yeah, he gets a little skittish in crowds. In a one-on-one setting, he was normally perfectly fine. He's never bitten anyone again. But as a good owner or an owner that tries to be as good as I can, you have to have an awareness and a responsibility. This owner out in Portland, Oregon should be charged, sadly. Unless it's determined that, it was said that she knew the dogs were aggressive, and so she told the kid not to go into the dogs or with her into the garage with the dogs, but the kid did anyway. So you have to figure all of that out. But I think reckless manslaughter or whatever would be perfectly. Don, we'll get to you in just a moment. It's 12:31, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 35 minutes after 12 o'clock. Glad to have you with us on this edition of the Matt Murphy Radio Show. It's our episode 470. We are less than a week from our 2-year anniversary, and they said it wouldn't last. 2 years in this chair, in this time slot on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And I appreciate each and every one of you for indulging me, each and every one of you for putting up with me, and we'll talk more about that next week. Don't forget our Christmas party coming up in Mount Juliet at Cedar Creek Marina. Be there at Scoreboards. We'll be there from 4 until 8. And maybe beyond. We'll be doing a live broadcast out there. A lot of fun will be had by all, I promise you. If you don't have fun, that's on you. We've got many surprises to come, and we'll tell you more about that as the show progresses. Right now, it's a great pleasure to introduce you, unless you know Chris. I am just meeting him, but I've heard wonderful things from mutual friends. He is putting his hat into the ring as a candidate for State Senate District 18. And toward that end, I think he's already announced this, but there's a big endorsement that's coming up a little bit later on the show, which I'm very excited about. And I'm excited to introduce our television viewing audience and our radio listening audience to Chris Spencer. Chris, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon.
Hold on a second. Let me do that for me. I got you. I got him. Don't worry. I got his mic. I'm shaming Bell. Hey, Chris, good afternoon.
Well, thanks for having me, Matt. It's a pleasure. I listen to you every day.
Well, I'm glad you do. Tell us a little, before we get into the reasons behind running for political office, tell folks that don't know you a little about yourself.
Well, I've been a Republican my whole life. I've only voted for Republicans. My first vote was for Ronald Reagan in 1984, and I've never strayed since. And I'm married for 33 years. My wife, Lisa, and we had 2 beautiful daughters, and we have 4 grandchildren now. So I'm a papa now, and I enjoy being a grandfather. And I've been in the college basketball business for about 33 years.
Is that what they call you, papa?
They call me papa.
Yeah. Did you lobby for anything else?
No, I didn't. It
just happened.
It was organic. Yeah.
So I called my granddad Pawpaw.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. And then eventually I shortened it. I felt weird about it when I became 10, and so I just shortened it to Pa, and that was him. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. So, 4 grandchildren.
Yes.
And you're into sports?
I am. So I played in college basketball, and then I went into business for myself, and I started basically a tournament business. And I put on tournaments all across the world, but mainly in the United States now, and I've been doing it for 33 years. In fact, we have Vanderbilt in our Dickies event next Saturday. So Vanderbilt will be in my event in Fort Worth, Texas. And last week and over Thanksgiving, we had Michigan State playing Arizona right after the Detroit Lions game, and it actually set a record for Fox for college basketball. We got a 5.2 rating on that game, so we made history.
And so it's an interesting time of year to be setting records, right? Yeah. I like basketball, but for me, basketball season begins in January. I know you hear this some. For me, it's like, once football season is kind of done, that's when basketball season starts. You probably don't like hearing that.
Well, I've been in it my whole life. Truth told, I don't watch it a whole lot anymore. I mean, dealing with coaches as I do, you just need to step back a little bit and enjoy the finer things in life, like my grandkids and so forth.
One of these days down the road, as we get to know one another, as your candidacy progresses, I want to talk to you about some. I bet you have stories.
I bet you have stories, man. Zillion stories. In fact, I actually am one of 3 people to defeat the NCAA in a federal lawsuit. So I made.
Oh, you got to tell me that story now. What happened?
It's a long story.
Oh, okay.
It's a long story.
But you won?
We won in federal court. So basically what it was the NCAA in around 1998, they put in legislation to basically put us out of business. And I flew across the country trying to find an attorney that would take me on because I didn't have the money to fight, that bureaucracy.
Right.
And I found one finally, and we filed, and it was an antitrust case, and we filed in Columbus, and it took about 5 years. For 1 or 2 of the years, I was totally out of business. All I did was went to my attorney's office and went through a tractor trailer full of documents that they sent during discovery, hiding the documents that we were looking for. And that's what I did from 8 to 5 every single day. But we went 5-day trial in Columbus, and we actually won.
Good for you.
Bad thing was we lost on appeal on the Sixth Circuit. But the good thing is the NCAA after that they changed their stance on the rule and allowed us to go back. And we flourished after that. And I started the events in Las Vegas. I've been there for 20 years, and I've been blessed with the business of college basketball.
I wouldn't begin to, if you gave me all the money in the world and all the time in the world and said, hey, run tournaments for I wouldn't even begin to understand it. But I'm glad that there's some people that do, like yourself.
It's a lot of work, that's for sure. It's a lot of work.
What in the world led you into the political arena?
Well, I'll do a short story. Basically, I was a founding member of the Sumner County Constitutional Republicans, and our goal was to find Christian men and women to run for office in Sumner County. And, so we, in that time, that 5 years, we've got 44 candidates that we vetted and we begged to run because, who wants to run for office? And we won 33 of those races. And at the end of the day, those
33 out of 44?
Yeah.
Pretty good track record.
It is. And at the end of the day, those wonderful people that we convinced to run and begged to run, they wanted me to run. And I looked at it for a while and I thought, I talked with my pastor and I said, I think I can serve God in the state Senate. And so at the end of the day, I just basically said, why not me? So.
Well, I mean, you certainly can't sit across the table from someone and say, no, I know you don't want to do this, but you need to do this for your state. You need to do this for your community. You need to do this for your country. And then when they say that to you, you say no. You can't say no, right?
If you really want to make change, and
right.
I do, I love our Constitution. If you want to make change, you got to sometimes change the butts that are in the seats, And so I said, why not me? And if it's God's will, I'm going to win, And that's the way I feel about it. And if I don't win, then I'm going to go back to being a pawpaw, and I'll be happy either way.
Tell me a little bit about State Senate District 18.
Well, it's a very conservative county. We would call ourselves a red county, and we're just good Christian, folks that we live on the lake there. We enjoy our way of life there, and us Republicans that are constitutionally minded, we've been frustrated, over the last 10 years of who've been running our political process there in Sumner County and Trousdale. But we made such inroads, that we have such great people there. And this is another, piece of that pie. This is a very important seat. I think I can make a difference. We have so many issues, in Sumner County with infrastructure. My goodness. I mean, I'm so blessed that I don't have to go downtown. But we have tens of thousands of people in Sumner and Trousdale County that have to drive to Nashville and then drive home, and they're sitting in hours of traffic. And
I'm not interrupt your train of thought, but I mean, it's kind of going that direction. I lived in Goodlettsville for a year when I first got here. And man, oh man, thank you. Grand Old RV Resort, Convalescence Home and Bat Meat Market. I lived in a camper for a year at the Grand Old RV Resort, which is pretty cool. It was a great time before my wife got up here. That said, I mean, you get to Vietnam Veterans Parkway, you get to that area. I mean, it's brutal. It
is brutal. So there's got to be something that we can do, right? And so, I mean, my opponent's been there for 12 years. He's a nice man. But
Farrell Hale is who you're running against.
Yes. Yeah. A nice man. I've talked with him several times. But I just think we need new energy and new leadership with new, fresh ideas. And I think that I'm the man for that job.
And the district encompasses all of Sumner, and you mentioned Trousdale?
Yes, all Trousdale.
And you just taught me right before we came on air that Trousdale is the smallest county in Tennessee?
I believe so.
Geographically?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Well, I mean, there you go. And Sumner, that's Gallatin?
Gallatin, Hendersonville, Portland, White House.
A little portion of Goodlettsville, yeah.
Well, it depends on what the ruling is. Now they may have to go back to the old redistricting, and if it goes back to the old redistricting, I will get all of Goodlettsville,
Okay.
Because we just don't know what's going to happen
with
that.
We need you over there.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So, all right, tell you what we'll do. Just getting to know Chris Spencer, we've got a gentleman that I think you know on the line who I don't know if you know what's going to happen, but I think I do, that this individual wants to throw his name behind your candidacy in endorsing you, and I'm not going to get in front of that. So what we'll do, we'll take a short time out, and then we'll I'll let you introduce our very special, unless you don't want to, introduce our special guest. Chris Spencer is with us. He's running for State Senate District 18. We'll be back in a moment on The Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You tell him. Okay. How well do you know John?
You know, I don't know.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1253. Good afternoon. Matt Murphy and you on episode 470. We've got Chris Spencer in studio. Chris is running for State Senate District 18. And I know it's a little early to talk 2024 politics, but frankly, I just wanted to get to know Chris. I've heard great things about him with our conversations with the Sumner County Constitutional Republicans, and wanted to get him in studio to talk with him. And this is coinciding with a very special guest that we have on the hotline, the Murphy Show hotline, who wants to speak to Chris's candidacy in State Senate District number 18. It's a name, Chris. Do you know who's on the? You know who's on the line.
I do.
Hold on a second. One more time. Thank you, Bill. It's an ongoing joke. You do.
I do.
And without further ado, let's welcome to the show the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. It's John Rich, everybody. Woo! John, what is going on, brother?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to join you.
Yes, sir. How's things going with you?
And things are going great. It's a great end to the year. Looking forward to slowing down a little bit with the family and thinking about next year just like you guys are, and I know that's our discussion today.
Well, John, I was talking with Chris off air, and I have a little preview into what you're going to say, and I'm not getting in front of the parade here, but I love how involved you are, and I love that you don't just talk the talk when it comes to your political beliefs and when it comes to people that you point to and say, this is a guy or a gal that I can get behind and believe in. You do your research, you do your homework, and when John Rich speaks, Tennessee listens, and that is a testimony to how invested you are in the future of our people of Tennessee and the people of America. So congratulations to you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You know, it's not the easiest route, especially if you're an entertainer, to step out and take a stand on anything. So plenty of people don't like what I have to say, but that's fine with me. I think that the stakes are so high right now in Tennessee, right now in the United States, that gamesmanship is over, officially over. And I think one thing that we have all learned as conservatives is that just because you call yourself a Republican does not mean we can count on you to do the right thing. You know, we have an acronym for them, Rhino. I have another name I call them, Judas Republicans. That's a stronger way to put it. You know, where they talk the talk, they act like us, they dress like us, they say they care about the things we care about, but then they get behind closed doors and they allow all this chaos and things to ensue that we never signed off on. And so as I'm looking at this race, Chris Spencer and Farrell Hale, I got to know Farrell Hale, got to know about him back when I gave a speech to the Tennessee House Representatives Subcommittee about the pornography that was in all the schools throughout the state of Tennessee, which now all the parents are aware of this. And I went in front of that committee and I had 5 minutes and I made a speech and I made points like, hey, if you read this book on the radio, the FCC would kick you off the radio. If you showed these images on a television station, the FCC would kick you off the air. Well, that spawned a bill, 1944, that came forward in April of 22. And I thought it was a slam dunk. I mean, how do you not vote for a bill that takes pornography out of an elementary school, especially when you have a supermajority of Republicans in the House and Senate? So it's not even a question. Of course, it's going to get handled. Well, guess what? It didn't get handled. Nothing changed. The same problem still exists in Tennessee. And guess where Farrell Hale decided to fall on that argument, on that vote? Well, he didn't. He didn't vote no, and he didn't vote yes. So he played a game there. He played games with something that is deadly serious to all the rest of us. When it came time for masking our kids, giving schools permission for minors to take the vaccine without their parents' consent, all these things came through Farrell Hale and a bunch of other guys that are up there representing us. And, I said, you know what? You cannot count on this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when Chris Spencer came along, I said, well, I want to see what this guy's all about. Invited him up to the House, asked him a lot of tough questions. And you could just tell that, number one, what I liked about him is he absolutely hates politics. That is the precursor.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
If you love politics, there might be something wrong with you. That's kind of how I look at it. And he hates politics. He hates the thought of being a politician. It just disgusts him to no end. But like he said, somebody's got to step up and try to right this ship. We've got to have people in office that we can count on to do the things that we would do if we were in the room when it was being discussed, and I firmly believe he's the guy to do that.
And so what we're hearing, I believe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, John, is that you are endorsing Chris Spencer.
He has my 100% endorsement and support, and I will be raising money for him, and I will be showing up at events for him. And we're going to make a statement. Listen, people are sick and tired. It's one thing to be betrayed by Democrats, okay? We don't agree with them anyway. We don't expect them to agree with us. But when a Republican doesn't vote on a bill that takes pornography out of Tennessee schools, ask him why he didn't vote on that. Go ask him. And let me ask Chris a question. Chris, I know you're there. Chris, if you win this seat and a bill is presented to you while you're in that seat that takes pornography out of Tennessee schools, will you vote in support of that bill?
Oh, 100%. It would not be in school if I have that, I'm able to make that vote. I mean,
good for you.
Of course. See, that's the answer.
It's not hard, is it, John?
Farrell Hale didn't vote yes or no. Go look it up.
Well, and for me, I don't know Hale, and I'll give him full opportunity to be on my radio show, John, but I'll say this. For me, over the 25 years that I've been doing this, a politician that is available to vote and doesn't cast a vote, and is an automatic disqualifier to me. There's a reason we put you into office, to make decisions. Make a decision. If you don't vote, then you're out, for me.
Bingo. There's no more playtime, guys. I mean, I promise you, everybody listening to this radio show right now is going, absolutely, it's not playtime. The gamesmanship is over. Listen, I don't care if you're Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney. I don't care how big you are or how localized you are. If you are playing games with the future of us, then you got to go. We need people in there that are going to do what we would do if we were in the room and had the authority to do it. And Chris Spencer has promised me, guaranteed me that when he gets in that room, he is going to vote like we would vote if we were casting it ourselves. And, yes, he has my 100% support.
Love it. John Rich, thank you so much. We'll continue this conversation, if not before the holidays, then certainly over the course of 2024. Chris says I get to act as security at an event that's coming up in February. I plan on doing that. We love you, man. We thank you for everything that you do for this state, and I know that Chris appreciates that endorsement.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, John. It's such an honor, and I won't let you down, 100%.
Well, we're behind you. Go get them, and Merry Christmas, everybody. God bless you.
Merry Christmas, John, and God bless you. There's John Rich. How about that, Chris?
Wow.
How about that?
I'm almost in tears.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a guy that asks questions, that wants direct answers. You give him direct answers, and he's going to move on it. And he puts his money and his name where his mouth is, and with the people that he supports. So congratulations. It's a great way to get to know you. We're sadly out of time, but we'll have you back, and we'll do this again. And 2024 should be a heck of a good year for the state of Tennessee.
Thank you so much for your time.
How can people find out more about you real quick?
ChrisSpencerForSenate.com.
It's just that, and spell Spencer with an S on the front end and a C on the back end, right?
Yes.
And there you go. Yep. Chris Spencer, great conversation. We'll be back in a moment. We'll continue the conversation with you on the phones. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let me ask you guys a question. It's a sensitive one. It's a personal one, but it's an important question. How's your energy level? How you feeling during the holidays? Do you not want to go put lights up outside? Do you not want to do those holiday activities that the family perhaps is wanting you to do? And do you know why? If you're feeling run down or sluggish, if you have issues with energy, and they may manifest themselves anywhere, and frankly, sometimes in the bedroom. I mean, it is a fact. Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you guys. They are dedicated to men's health. They want to see you. They want to talk with you. They want to schedule an appointment for a very low price point. I think it's less than $100. You come in for your initial consultation. They'll go through you. They'll talk with you about your energy levels, where you are on that. They'll get some blood work, and they'll look at what that blood work tells them. And if there's low T levels involved, they can get those T levels back to where they should be and then get you back to an energy level that you want for the holidays and well beyond. Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. 2 locations to serve. One's in Midtown, been there for almost 3 decades. The other just opened this year in Cool Springs in Franklin for those of you south of the city. Tennessee Men's Clinic, one number to schedule an appointment to either location, 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for Tennessee Men's Clinic.
It's Friday Eve all day long
At least
on the Matt Murphy Show.
At least do a Christmas song behind it. Where's the ching, 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 down in the sleigh bells jiggling, ching, ching, jiggling too. We're having a Christmas party tonight in Mount Juliet. We invite you. Hello, it's the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My sincerest apologies for Bell K, who doesn't know when to stop. It's Thursday. It is Thursday, which is a perfectly serviceable name for today, December 7th, and it's our episode 470. You on the phone, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Go to John Rich to give us a call. We got 2 country music behemoths on the show today. As John Rich just made an appearance to offer an endorsement of Chris Spencer, Daryl Worley will be along at 2:05 to talk about his Gaylord Opryland event. That's going on now until I don't know when, but Daryl does, obviously, and he'll be along. I'm excited to talk with Daryl in studio, so we'll do that at 2:05 this afternoon. We've got much to discuss in the news. The CNN excuse-making for Joe Biden continues. I call them hashtag never CNN, hashtag never CNN. Don't watch CNN. Never watch CNN. Hashtag never CNN. Why do you not watch CNN? Because it's a garbage network full of garbage people spewing out garbage. I watch so you don't have to. It is my commitment to you. I'll get into that. I'll get into a little more of the GOP debate last night. And then this subject that had the phone lines absolutely lit up. And we had to make our way over to our pre-scheduled guest, Chris Spencer. And so I'm going to readdress this topic and give you an opportunity to speak to it regarding pit bulls. It was a topic brought up by Chris Hand, as a matter of fact, and I carried it over because I'm very interested in it. And I'm wondering where you are on it. We've not discussed it since I've been in Tennessee, but I've talked about it many times over the years as a dog lover, as a dog owner, as someone who believes in responsible pet ownership and believes in responsible community stewardship of our 4-legged friends. I think it's an important topic to discuss, and we'll do so. This involves whether or not there should be banning of pit bulls. 615-737-9986. In the meantime, you on the super text line, 7184 wants to know, is there alcohol at the event? Well, if I have to be around Dan Mandis for 4 hours, yes. Todd says no Christmas songs, LOL. What do you mean no Christmas songs? Is it too soon? Too soon for the Christmas songs? Or is any time too soon for the Christmas songs? Todd, why are you a Grinch, Todd? Why are you a Grinch? And by the way, I say that about Dan Mandis. As Dan would say, I'm just kidding. Of course I'm just kidding. I love Mandis and love being around Dan. Love being around Brian, Chris, the rest of the crew. There will be others at the event from the radio station. I just don't know who. I don't think Johnny B will be there because I think Johnny B's filling in for Dan tomorrow. I may have that wrong. I know Dan's off. I wouldn't expect that Ken Weaver would be there because he has to get up before the butt crack of dawn Bell K, Headless Bell, never makes appearances at these events. He has on one or two occasions, but he stays in the shadows when he does so. And I don't know who else. So there you go. Pit bulls and cops. You only hear about the bad ones, writes Sally. That's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it. Here's the backstory. So, as related by Mr. Hand during his show, and as reiterated by me in the first hour of the show, the Libertarian Lunch, there was a 6-year-old boy that was killed by 2 Mastiff mixes, and I think there's a Great Dane component, at least this woman says so, and I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know. They're mutts. But they're big dogs, and they were aggressive dogs. The incident occurred earlier this week. The boy's grandmother dropped him off at the home in the Park Rose Heights neighborhood of Portland. Coco Miller, who is the owner of the dogs, told authorities that upon arrival, she went into the garage to care for the dogs before taking the young boy to school. The young boy opened the door behind her, and one of the dogs charged at him. Authorities said that Miller was literally covered in blood. The woman was covered in blood, reportedly did what she could to stop the attack. She actually got a gun, but did not use it, although I would hope that she would have. Mike Benner, the Portland Police Bureau Public Information Officer, said during a press briefing that, quote, the boy knew not to go around the dogs, and that's why they were in the garage. Benner described the dogs as very large and very heavy, said the owner believed they were Great Dane Mastiff mixes. She told authorities they were mutts. Benner said, I speak for everyone at the Bureau when I say our hearts break for this little boy, for his family and friends. I mean, at any time this happens, it's a shock. The 2 dogs were taken into custody and eventually euthanized. Animal Services are holding a 3rd dog that was at home at the time of the attack but was not involved. Officer Benner told reporters that the investigation is being led by the Portland Police Bureau Child Abuse Team with assistance from the Homicide Unit. And said it's too early to determine if criminal charges should be filed. Miller, who lives in the home, claims to be the owner and operator of a company called Canine Protection. Sergey Dengub, a neighbor of Miller's, told news organizations that he was shocked by the attack. They're nice dogs. I've played with them a lot of times when I visited the family. What happened today is really surprising. A person close to the family was saddened to learn of the child's death, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I don't mean to diminish the child's death. It's a very important thing. I just don't want to belabor the point. So here's where, in this particular case, I don't necessarily want to talk about this particular case, but guys, I have way too many questions to formulate opinions. So the article in question indicated that Miller was aware enough that the dogs were aggressive that she separated the dogs from the kid. So she put the dogs in her garage, knowing that she should do so when the kid comes over. That according to the report. And according to Officer Benner in the report, he said the boy knew not to go around the dogs. That's why they were in the garage. And then we also know that the 6-year-old opened the door, and that's when one of the dogs got around Miller and attacked him, and then the other dog followed suit. So, first question would be, should you charge Miller? I would need to know more intimate details about how all of this went down before I would say that. Because she obviously knew the dogs were a danger to the kid. That's why she separated them. So she was being responsible in that way. But obviously not responsible enough. So I don't know that I would go so far as to call it murder, but maybe negligent homicide. Maybe negligent homicide. The broader question is, should there be a conversation about banning pit breeds? I am against this. And by the way, I'm someone who was for this consideration years ago. I educated myself. I talked to a lot of different rescue organizations. I talked to a lot of different pit bull owners. I understand that pit bulls are the perfect storm in as much as if they don't have proper training or they go rogue or they go bad, if they do not have the firm alpha dog hand on them with regard to their training and what they may or may not do, when they go bad, it's really bad. It's not a bite, often it's a mauling. They are the perfect storm. I compared it first hour to this. If I mishandle a 22 and I shoot Bell accidentally with a 22, that's bad. But most odds are he's not going to die. Odds are.
I'd like to say something.
You don't like my analogy, right?
If that happens, I want everybody out there to know that was not an accident.
Can I make it? Matt finally
Go ahead.
He finally got sick of Bill not turning on his guest mic, and he just had lost it. That's a joke.
Snapped.
You've only got about 28 things going on in there. You're controlling a television show, a radio show, an internet streaming show. You got phone calls going on. I get it. Yeah, I mean, so gun ownership takes a level of responsibility, right? As does dog ownership. Let's do the comparison. But different guns are guns, but they're not. Different guns have different levels of danger. So, if I presented to you my M4 DD, that's going to be a different level of danger than my single-shot .22 rifle. If I present a mean-spirited Chihuahua who's nipping at your heels and just being basically a butthole, that's a different level of danger if I present to you my mean-spirited pit bull who's nipping at your face. With those dogs come a level of responsibility of ownership that must be taken seriously. But it all goes back to owners. And if you owners do not recognize, and I know it's difficult, but if you don't recognize the propensity that your dog has for a potential for violence, or recognize that the breed itself has a propensity for violence, and I know if you're a pit bull owner, let me speak real clearly. I'm on your side on this. But if you don't recognize that the breed itself has a propensity to lose their minds, then you're not as aware of the situation as you should be. And I'm not suggesting your precious angel would ever do anything, but I've seen way too many stories. There was a story that I did in Alabama that broke my, I literally cried on the air. I'll tell you this real quick. I mean, shed tears on the air. A woman called me and had heard my discussion about this subject and pit bulls generally over the years. And she told me a story. I mean, it's difficult for me to tell even now because I remember the absolute heartbreak. She said, I've heard it, I've listened to it, and I owned a pit bull, and we had to put my pit bull down. And it was a female. She said the name, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What happened? And she told me that her dog bit her grandchild in the face. And it was a moment where the child and the dog were in the backyard playing by themselves. And she said, I never, and thank God the child lived. But she said, I never saw this coming. And I never understood it. That to say that not all pit bulls will do this. Not many of them live their lives as wonderful, loving, caring animals. But if something goes wrong, if something snaps or a switch goes off in their head, they become a machine. And their design gives them an ability to do far more damage in a far quicker amount of time than most other breeds of dog. Now, does that mean we should ban them? Of course not. What you should do is ban stupid dog owners or make the penalties similar to those who are willing to put people in real and present danger with other types of actions or materials, so much so that people take this a little more seriously. That's my take. What's yours? 615-737-9986. Fletch is first up in Nashville. Fletch, thank you for the call. How are you?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Fletch. What's on your mind?
Man, my point is, I got chows, man, and everyone always wants to say they're super aggressive, too. We've had a pack my whole life, and years ago we had one that was aggressive, and we had to put him down, man, just because the way he got with other people when they'd come around, and that's just being responsible. It is what it is, but at the same time, it's just like, I see it kind of like you did. I was on hold, but I kind of had the same opinion. It's like you have responsible gun owners, you have irresponsible gun owners. You have responsible pit bull owners, responsible chow owners, and irresponsible ones. But with that woman at the same time, man, if she knew they were that aggressive, where they were literally just going to attack and kill and not obey her commands, because, like, my chows will obey me. There was just one that was real scatterbrained and just, he wouldn't listen sometimes, So it's just like, I don't want to completely blame her because it's like maybe she did try it, but at the same time, if your two dogs are on top of a kid, why didn't she jump on top of that kid and see if they continued attacking her? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of a hard spot, but I don't think banning an animal is the answer, just like I don't think banning guns is the answer.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think we need to insist that people who own animals understand that there is a responsibility for those animals. And Fletch, thank you for the call. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? I mean, once again, I tell the story. I use me as an example because I understand that it opens me up to a certain level of vulnerability, but I've been there, done that. I've been bitten as a kid. I told that story. Well, my dog, my precious dog, John Henry, who would not harm a fly at the age of 13 and he's never been, he's growled a couple of times in situations, but he bit my nephew. Young Alex. My brother came over with his son. His son was a certain size. And then I came to recognize that John Henry got tense in environments where there were smaller people. You have to have a certain level of awareness. I'm not saying I'm better than everyone. You have to train yourself with guns. You have to train yourself with dogs. And understand that they look to you to be the pack leader. And if you assert yourself in that way, then they will listen to you when the time comes when all hell's breaking loose. Well, my dog, John Henry, he was 2.5, 3 years old, still a little wild, still getting him trained properly. And, Alex approached him in a certain way or did a certain thing, and Henry kind of growled and then bit, boom, right on his hand. Punctured his hand. I had to take him to the hospital and get a stitch. And, for the rest of the weekend where my brother and my nephew were visiting, John Henry stayed downstairs because Alex was concerned and I was concerned, didn't know what to do, worried about it. We continued our training, but I, as an aware dog owner, from then on, I was very careful about allowing, and you look at John Henry's countenance and recognize when is an okay time for some, especially youngster, but to pet him. I was very gun shy, or in this case, dog shy, with regard to how I allowed that to occur. Because the last thing I wanted was another incident like that. Never got one. Because I did not put him in a bad situation or anyone else in a bad situation. That's dog awareness. Imperfect, of course, but important. More calls coming up. Scott, Gary, Chris, Roland, and Mary, all on the line. We'll get to you as we continue on episode 470 of The Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Craft Body Scan. Folks, did you know that the holidays can be stressful? I say that as a joke. I know you know that the holidays can be stressful. You know why? Because the holidays are dadgum stressful. And with that stress, and I don't mean to scare you or anything, but with that stress comes stress on your heart. According to the American Heart Association, more people die from heart attacks during the last week of December than any other time of year during the Christmas holiday season because of all of that stress. And frankly, there's a lot of drinking and there's a lot of eating and there's a lot of that kind of thing. Being proactive is the first step to prevent oncoming issues related to holiday stress, eating or drinking. If you want a better way to get to the bottom of your health, then Craft Body Scan is that better way. CT scans are incredible. I've done it myself. I've done the full body scan, and right now you can get a heart and lung scan for less than $150. $149, and you can bring a spouse or a significant other or a friend. Now, these are normally priced well in excess of $1,000, but for you and to introduce you to Craft Body Scan, they're offering this very special. Take the initiative to remain healthy this holiday season with a scan from Craft Body Scan. Go to craftbodyscan.com, spell craft with a C, craftbodyscan.com, or call 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. Call today for Craft Body Scan. Cedar Creek Marina tonight. It is scoreboards at Cedar Creek Marina. You'll see the boats. Last time I was out there, I pull in around, I don't know, it was just before dusk, maybe about an hour before dusk. It was overcast. I was going out to see, I was visiting some folks from one of our sister, or dare I say brother, radio stations at Cumulus Nashville, the sports station. They've done a couple of events out there. And I went out, and as I pulled into Cedar Creek Marina there, you'll see it when you come out tonight. There's a grove of trees, and there's like 20 deer, or as I like to say, deers. A bunch of deers all out there gallivanting about, prancing about, having a great time. And I thought to myself, in a different setting, at a different time in my life, kaboom! Meat. But not today, dears. Not today.
You talk for a living, and you're willfully using bad grammar.
Uh-huh. I like that. I like to say
there are children in the audience who need an example set for them.
One is called what?
A deer.
And two are called what?
Deer.
Deers. A couple of deers. Okay, if you have the little rodents that get into your house and eat cheese, one of
Mice.
those is one is a
Mouse.
And then two are
Mice.
Mouses.
Meese.
Couple of meese.
Ed Meese.
By the way, I got local dignitaries and muckety mucks offering to buy you a drink tonight if you show.
I don't believe you.
He's listening right now.
That makes me believe you all of a sudden.
No, David, will you call in and tell Bell that you'll buy him a drink? David, you know who I'm talking to. He just said that he would. McMorry, too. Well, he didn't say that about McMorry, but I just saw McMorry, and I thought I would include him because I want Mac out there, too. Mac, are you coming after the shift? You getting your butt out there? Come on, Mac! Don't you let me down. Don't you
Talking about tonight?
No, Mac. Not tonight. Are you coming tonight? Tonight? Not tonight. No, tonight. Yes, tonight. And what do you mean,
I get off late. Got to go to Mount Juliet. By the time I get there, it's going to be almost 8 o'clock.
I'll buy you a drink.
He's got free booze at home.
I'll buy you 2.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Come on. Don't you want to hang out with me?
Well, that is a yes. Always that's a yes. You know that.
Come on, then. You know what? I won't buy. I'll buy you a quesadilla. Huh?
Ooh, quesadilla.
Now we're talking about the quesadilla. Wendy says Max Murray isn't even old enough to drink. TB says I'll buy BK a drink. LOL. That's 6292. TB says TB will buy Mac M a drink if he comes out.
Wow.
I mean, look, we're gonna have to Uber you home. What am I doing? Which one? Is that 2? 1 1 1 and 1? I don't. Oh, line 11. David is on the line. David Corlew of Charlie Dale's Journey Home Project. Woo! Hey, David, how are you?
Hey.
There you go, buddy. What's up?
Fine. I'll buy his food. I'll buy his drinks. I'll drive him home.
Listen to Corlew, man. And you'll get to see Tuffy, because where David goes, Tuffy goes too.
What did I do to deserve such special treatment?
We just want you to out. We want to show you, David. Tell him. We want to shower him with Christmas love.
We need for you to feel it. We need for you to show. We need to show you how much we appreciate what you have to go through working for Matt.
David.
With Matt.
David, trust me.
That's the truth.
Matt makes me feel it on a daily basis.
No, David's trying to give you a different emotion, not just pain and sorrow and regret
Panic and anxiety.
No, I feel the pain. I want to help you out.
David, will we see you? Will we see you tonight? I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm planning on coming over there.
All right, come on.
You're right in my backyard, so I'll see you there.
All right, we'll see you there, David. Mount Juliet at Cedar Creek. David Corlew will be there. You can talk to him about Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. David, I assure you, if you come out and strike up a conversation with David, he could tell you some stories about Charlie and their years together. And now everybody's offering to buy you a Shirley Temple. Come on. Once again, everything's relative.
You know what he's doing right now? He's going, who the hell is Shirley Temple?
He's looking it up.
I do like the Shirley Temple.
Do you now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, when the cherries in there.
Yeah.
It's so red and delicious. Let me get back to the subject matter at hand. I think Scott's been holding the longest. Scott, thank you for your call. How are you, sir?
Good. How y'all doing?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind? You want to talk pit bulls, I think.
Yeah, I do. First thing is animals will be animals. But if you're a pet owner, I agree with you. You are 100% responsible for your dog or your pet.
Amen,
she knew
brother.
She knew these dogs were vicious from the start. She should have got rid of them, but she didn't. And there ain't no way she can blame this child. A child will be a child. He's curious. He's still exploring at 6 years old. She allowed it. Even though she said she tried to do everything she did, grabbed a gun, she should have shot the dogs. So I think she should be charged with murder because she allowed it. She chose the dog over that child.
Yeah, I would. I would agree for the most part. I would go so far as to say like a negligent homicide type of situation. I would want to know if these dogs had been aggressive before, if she had that awareness of their aggression. And I'd want to know a few more details, but I'm willing to go down that road with you. Owners need to be held more responsible for the action of their animals. Otherwise, Scott, what happens is people start talking about like banning certain breeds when there are yeah, go ahead.
It's not the animal's fault,
No.
so they don't need to be banned. It's the owners. It's just like guns. It's not the gun's fault. Guns don't kill. People do. It's the owners. They need to take their responsibility.
Well spoken.
Can't handle a pet. Can't handle a pet. Can't handle a gun. Don't need either.
Yeah, well spoken, Scott. Thank you so much. I mean, one has a constitutional amendment attachment to it and is certified in the Constitution. But the spirit of what you say is well spoken. There are many older Hey, Maury, where is he? Hey, there's there's a general consent. I don't want you to speak to this because we got to go to the break, but there's a general consensus that Cougar Chow is afraid. That you're scared. And if you're scared, say you're scared. That Cougar Chow is scared to come out and meet some of the older single ladies. Now, we all know you're a taken man. We all know that you're spoken for. But the general feeling on the super text line is that Cougar Chow is scared. Okay. 33 after it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here. Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm that I believe in and that I speak about often. They specialize in physical security consultation and active violence mitigation training. That's a mouthful. It's to say this: hope is not a plan, right? I say that often. To hope that something goes differently is to suggest that you don't have an ability to act for yourself in order to make what you want to happen. Well, what Defense Systems offers you is an opportunity to train up in the unlikely event that you experience workplace violence. And it is unlikely. In the even more unlikely event that you experience workplace gun violence, and that is especially unlikely, but it does happen. We see it every day on our televisions, and invariably you hear people talking about, I never thought it would happen here. Well, I bet you feel the same way. But it is time to get trained in this dangerously developing world. They do rapid response medical training. They do emergency and intruder action plans, active shooter response training, all customized to your facility, whether that facility is a school, a corporation, a place of business, retail and otherwise, or a church, a place of worship. Call Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems today. Do this. DefenseSystems.com. That's DefenseSystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you until 3. We'll hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. Brian will do 2 hours from Watertown. Head on over to Mount Juliet. We'll be there at Mount Juliet at Scoreboard Cedar Creek Marina, and we'd love to see you tonight. Free. Several of you are asking. The event is of no cost to you. I think food and drink is on you. I don't know. I'll tell you what. If McMorey and Bell K show up, I'll buy a round. If McMorey and Bell K show up, I'll buy a round.
Sorry, I'm texting with the boss.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's on you. 615-737-9986. Chris is in Clarksville with a thought about pit bulls. Roland, I'm getting to you. I appreciate you, and Gary, you too. Chris, what's on your mind? Hello, Chris.
Yeah, actually, I'm in Cornsville.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Chris. I apologize. Cornsville? Wait, did you say corn as in ear of?
Nick Coinsville in Jackson County, Tennessee, brother.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. I misheard. I apologize.
Oh, you're good, brother. I listen to you guys all the time. But back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I actually they were trying to do a breed-specific legislation on what breeds we could have and what breeds we couldn't have. And it fell through like, somebody stepped through a mud puddle. And, it didn't work. But it's not the dog's fault. It's this lady was holding her animals in a garage. That's like putting us in jail. And that's not a responsible dog owner.
Well, and just to clarify here, and I'm not arguing the point with you. I do believe that it's the owner's responsibility. She put them in the garage specifically because this kid was coming over. I don't think they lived in the garage, but
okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying. Anyway, a long time ago, they tried to do this. The Democrats tried to go through with this lady a long time ago. It was in California, I do believe, that lived into a apartment building, and she had adopted 2 Presa Canarios, which are really, really big, mastiff type dogs. And they killed this person in the hallway. And after that, they tried to do breed-specific legislation, which it fell through, like boof, it was done. But anybody can make a dog mean. And anybody can love a dog. Just like if you have a horse, it'd be a good horse or a bad horse, depending on how you treat them.
Yes, and some dogs, if you treat them badly, that experience and the results of that poor treatment can be more dramatic than others. And
absolutely,
and it's why the bully breeds. And I understand that this was a mastiff, not a pit bull. And thank you, Chris, for the call. But that it is why the bully breeds get a bad rap, because when things go wrong with a Chihuahua, there's a bite. Maybe it breaks the skin. When things go wrong with a golden retriever, somebody gets bit. And it's rare, but it happens. When things go wrong with a pit bull or one of the bully breeds or a Rottweiler or Mastiff, things go sour and south very quickly. And those breeds tend to pack up very quickly. If there are multiple dogs, they gang up on what is being attacked. It seems that happens with more regularity. I'm not blaming the animal. I'm just observing what happens. By the way, who knew? I did not until today. I was today old when I realized that there are several cities in the state of Tennessee that ban pit bulls. South Pittsburgh bans pit bulls. Sparta bans pit bulls. Springfield restricts pit bulls, whatever that means. Wartrace has a ban on pit bulls. And I'm looking at there's a lot more, apparently.
Wow.
There's a lot of communities in the state that restrict or ban. Oh, don't go janky on me. I don't know what my phone's doing here. There's a lot of communities that have restrictions and or bans on the breed. Come on, man. Stupid phone. I'm just reading some of these. I think I'm still in the state of Tennessee. I'm looking at a list that has the entire country cordoned off by state, and I hope that this is the Tennessee. Man, there's a lot of the ordinances that are confirmed. I mean, there's a lot of cities that don't allow, quote, pit bulls in their cities. Etowah, Ducktown, wherever that is, Grand Junction, Henderson. That's not the same as Hendersonville, obviously, I wouldn't think. Jasper. I'm looking for cities that we would recognize. Manchester, pit bulls are declared vicious animals. Middletown. In Mount Juliet, this says in Mount Juliet, y'all tell me if this is true or not. In Mount Juliet, they ban pit bulls from dog parks. Is that true? Huh. Well, that doesn't seem right. Oh, maybe they've had bad experiences. Rutherford bans pit bulls. That's an unconfirmed ordinance, though, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. All right, so there's that going on. 615-737-9986. By the way, Bell K, I got folks at the front door, just to let you know. I don't know if they texted you or not. Let's talk to Roland, who is in Hendersonville. Hello, Roland. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for your patience, sir.
I was a former county commissioner back in 2004 here in Sumner County, and I had tried to pass a countywide ordinance trying to ban pit bulls myself, and it was in response to a pit bull attack on one or two children in Portland, interestingly enough. I think that was in 2003. That was very, very severe. I can't recall if they had survived or not, but anyways. And I thought I'd make a contribution. One of the things that we learned in the ad hoc committee that we had formed, we ended up not being able to pass it, because what happens is when these communities try to pass one of these types of ordinances, you have a lot of these either rescue groups or you have pit bull owner groups that will just come out of nowhere, and the vitriol is quite high. And one of the things that was interesting, is how do you define what a pit bull is? As you were talking about the different bully, there's the American bullies, there's the Staffordshire, and if you can do a Google search, there's numerous breeds that come out. And one of the things that these groups will often do is they'll come with a picture of about 30 dogs, little square photos, and they'll say, hey, which one is the pit bull on this photo, to try to trick you up. And the ones that what it is it's the dog from the Little Rascals with a black circle over the top. Mm-hmm. That was a pit bull. And so, I would probably not support such an ordinance now after my experience from that, because one is, the ordinance is almost void for ambiguity. Obviously most of us know what a pit bull looks like, particularly the one that has, a block head, short ears, and looks like it's on steroids. I mean, there's a reason why in all these dogfighting circle rings, they use pit bulls. I mean, they don't use any other breed. But,
because if an irresponsible or bad or evil person, Roland, if they decide to train a dog to do bad things, that's the perfect machine to do it, right? I mean, it just so I'm so glad you called, because I appreciate you relating your experience, because yours is similar to mine. Mine was through my talk radio experience, yours through your experience as a county commissioner, but I changed my tune over the years. It was probably around 2003, 2004 that I would have told you, ban pit bulls. We don't need them. There's plenty of other dog breeds out there. But I became educated. I went through training. I talked to people. I met with rescue organizations and other groups, and I've changed my tune on it. It is very much about training the owners and holding the owners responsible for how they handle their dogs, and making sure that they recognize that owning a Cocker Spaniel and owning a pit bull, there's two different levels of responsibility there. They're both dogs.
Well, how does a police officer enforce it how do you define a pit bull? And then if you get into dogs with particular mixes, like you said in this particular attack, it had a Mastiff, how do you enforce it? And, there's a lot of lazy pit bulls out there, as I remember another county commissioner once said. I mean, there's one that lives on my street, and we don't really have any problems with it. But, what's interesting about the pit bull, I remember, it's been 20 years, but their pounds, their jaw strength whatever, I don't remember what the number was, but pounds per square inch of pressure. And then another reason why they're bred for the way they are is the scissor-like motion of their jaw is one of the other things I remember. They will just absolutely shred tissue. And then when they attack, like you said, their machine, it's to kill. Whereas some guard dogs, they will, from what I remember studying it, they will, once they're kind of territorial, and then they'll release from the attack once that they see that the threat is removed. I mean, once that pit bull goes, it's going to kill.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of examples out there of very friendly pit bulls playing with that child that you would have never thought been a threat, and then it snaps. That was one of the things I remember. It's been 20 years since I was really, I was really studying this and into it, but I'm not claiming to be an expert, but it's just unfortunate. But I would say that after that experience, I would not support the law, one, because it's void for ambiguity. How do you enforce it?
Right.
But, Tennessee used to have a one bite free rule. And that's why a lot of these homeowners were getting away with the dog bites, because you had to prove vicious propensity. And how would you prove that unless you went knocking on every neighbor's house in the neighborhood? And so I think in 2005, Tennessee changed the law to where now if the attack occurs off the property, I'm an attorney here in Hendersonville, if the attack occurs off the property, you don't have the obligation to have to prove that knowledge is vicious propensity. And if the attack occurs on the owner's property, then you still do. But owners just need to be more responsible, putting the dog in either in a fenced area, not letting it out at certain times, or it needs to be properly trained. But I'm going to be honest with you, even with a pit bull, even properly trained, when it snaps, it just is what it is. But it's very unfortunate. But I just wanted to make a contribution from my experience. Google how many pit bull breeds are there. How would you enforce a law to ban it?
And what is and what isn't. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, no, well spoken. Great call, Roland. I'm glad that you made it through, and I'm glad that you held. Thank you, and do call again about this or any other subject. That's good stuff. 300 pounds per pressure per square inch, I think, is what Brandy's telling me there. Yeah, I mean, there's no question that for those the reason that you see this dog used in dog fighting circles, there's a reason. There's a reason. I mean, when it's bad, it's bad. Let's talk to Gary, who is in Madison. Hey, Gary, thanks for holding. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Matt. I always enjoy your show. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was involved. I'm a German Shepherd lover. I was involved in a Schützen club. Schützen is German for protection hound. And we taught dogs to track, hold. My trainer, Fred Kemper, he was retired from the Nashville airport here. He taught me a lot about these dogs, and he said the pit bull is born with an extremely high prey instinct. If it runs from it, kill it. And he said that's the way they think. And what is going to trigger that? He said, I can train obedience, I can train the dog, but he's too high in prey. German Shepherd is high, but pit bull is extremely high, and he said 400 pounds per square inch.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to a German Shepherd, 100 to 120 pounds. And we taught dogs that were well trained. He sold to police departments, sheriff's departments. Fred was a master trainer. And he said, the thing of it is, Gary, if it runs from me, kill it. That's the way the dog thinks. And they can't help it. It's inbred in them. He said if a little toddler is playing with a pit bull, the dog's been sweet for 5 years, everybody in the family loves it.
Yep.
One day the child runs from the dog.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot over the years. Gary, thank you for the call. I've been doing this for a long time, longer than I care to admit. And in these conversations, invariably it gets down to that a lot of times when parents have a dog, family dog, they leave a young child along with the dog. The dog's been alone with the child forever, and they don't understand the dynamic that caused the dog to snap. And the dynamic is often that they're playing and the kid runs away. And there's some difference in how the dog perceives that the dog sees it as prey at that point. And and goes after it. All right, 52 after the hour. We're going to suspend the conversation in a moment, talk about more fun stuff like Christmas holidays. Gaylord Opryland Hotel and that convention space is hosting an incredible Christmas extravaganza with the one and only Daryl Worley. And he just walked into my studio, and I got verklempt. I got a little starstruck when he walked in. We'll talk to him in a minute. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. I want to talk to you for a moment about my good friend, Paul Winkler. I also endorse Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler Incorporated. What that means is because we want to live up to the highest standard of fiduciary responsibility, I tell you that I get paid to endorse Paul Winkler, and I do. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that relationship, but I'm also proud of the fact that Paul Winkler does his business the right way, and here's what I mean by that. As a financial planner and financial consultant, Paul understands that a lot of people in his world, they talk above us because I don't know if it's because they want to feel smart or if they're trying to be shady. I don't know why, but a lot of them talk in ways, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, I don't understand anything that you're saying. I just hope and trust that you're telling me the truth, that you're doing what is in the best interest for me, my family, and my portfolio. Paul doesn't do that. Paul sits down with you. He makes sure that you understand his approach to planning and investment. The investment education is first and foremost. It's evidence-based, of course. And he wants to talk with you. A free 15-minute conversation in one of his offices is available to you. All you have to do is go to 615-851-1950. Call that number, 615-851-1950, or go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com. Tell him I sent you, and I know you'll be pleased moving 2023 into 2024. It's time to move forward with your financial investments with Paul Winkler.
It is 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 59 degrees, a sunny day in Middle Tennessee. Your weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. The House Democratic leader is joining President Biden's call for Congress to pass Biden's supplemental aid request, which includes military funding for Ukraine. But Republicans are demanding concessions on immigration and the southern border first. Justin Finch with more from Washington.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries pressing Congress Thursday, urging bipartisan backing for President Biden's $110 billion supplemental aid request, including defense assistance for Taiwan, Israel, and Ukraine.
It would be irresponsible legislatively for my Republican colleagues to decide that they're going to go home to celebrate the holidays when our allies continue to be involved in existential fights that relate directly to America's national security.
Right now in Tennessee, 2 people died today following a single-engine airplane crash in Giles County. The crash happened near the Marshall County line. Officials said they had lost contact with the plane around 11 a.m. It took off just before 10 a.m. It's unclear how many people were on board the plane at the time of the crash. The identities of the deceased have not been released yet. Wyoming leaders are threatening to auction off pristine state-owned parcels of land within Grand Teton National Park to the highest bidder. Opponents are trying to block or at least delay the sale. Dave Packer.
640 acres of pristine land inside Grand Teton National Park owned by the state of Wyoming could be sold to the highest bidder. The state lands director says Wyoming law requires getting the highest value for state-owned lands to raise money for public schools and recommends bidding start at $80 million. But opponents, both Democrats and Republicans, are joining forces to try to stop or at least delay the sale. Republican Governor Mark Gordon has been quietly nudging the U.S. Interior Department to buy it, but whether the federal government would be agreeable or even able to buy the land is unknown.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk with you for a moment about your health care. And I know that that's a personal topic, but here's what I have realized in my conversations with Pat Davis, who is yourhealthplanman.com. Yourhealthplanman.com. That's what you need to remember, is that I feel like I'm a smart guy. I feel like I'm up to speed on a lot of different topics, and I couldn't tell you one plan from the next with regard to health care on a bet, because they're so complex and so confusing. I mean, is Blue Cross Blue Shield the way to go? Or is Cigna the way to go? Or is this health care plan right for you? Or is that health care plan right for you? I don't know the answer, but I know who does. And he's your personal health care concierge. It is Pat Davis and yourhealthplanman.com. It's as simple as a visit to the website, get a quote, they'll get a little bit of information, and then they'll give you a call. They'll talk with you on the phone for a little bit of time regarding what your need might be. Maybe you're currently under COBRA. Maybe you're uninsured right now. Perhaps you have health care through your employer that's too expensive, or you want to look at different options and different coverage. Whatever your situation might be, Pat and his team can help you. They help me, and Pat is currently helping my wife get a better health care plan because we didn't want to go through our employer. And I love my job and I love my employer, but we're doing what's best for us and our family. Go to yourhealthplanman.com to find out more information and tell them Matt Murphy sent you. It is 2:05, almost 2:06, and a good afternoon, our final hour of this Thursday edition together. It's December 7th. It's the 82nd anniversary of the tragedy of Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy. We'll bring that up about 30 minutes from now and discuss it with you on the program. Pleased to have you with us, 615-737-9986 for super texters or for telephone callers. We'll suspend the Pitbull conversation for just a moment and talk about country music for a little bit. It's the holiday season, and a lot of you perhaps are thinking about different ways to celebrate the holidays. I mean, We've got the Gaylord Opryland Hotel and Resort right there, and they've got so much going on. We got so much going on in Nashville more broadly. And with that in mind, we had an opportunity to invite this next guest in studio, and I'm fascinated that he did not do his research and decline. He actually agreed to stop by the Matt Murphy Show with us, and Daryl Worley joins us on the program this afternoon. Daryl, what's going on? Hold on. I'm supposed to do this real quick before you talk. Right. Are you ready? It's Daryl Worley, everybody. Did I do that right? I did it right. I did it right, and you failed me. I almost forgot. He's shaking his head. It's Daryl Worley. He could have sang it live.
He hates us both.
He does. What's up, Daryl? How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How about you?
It is good to meet you, man.
Thank you very much. I listen to you guys a bunch. I used to talk to Phil all the time. Man, my older brother was his biggest fan in the world.
Nice.
And he called me, with that horrible news. And but man, you're a good dude, and we're thankful to have you here. So.
Well, I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to have you here, and I'm thankful just to have a conversation with you and talk about everything you're doing out at Gaylord Opryland, and we'll get into that. I just first and foremost, the biggest question on my mind is who's taller, you or Trace?
Actually, years ago, we toured together, and it was so funny. He always wears those great big tall heels, like, I wear roper heels so I don't hit my head on door facings and stuff. And he also wears a big old tall crown hat. And so I just always thought he was, a little bit taller than me. And they asked us to come in one day and do these T-shirts for the tour where we would both be on the same T-shirt, right?
Right.
So they're doing photos, and they got us changing out in and out of different clothes and stuff. And so there he stands in his sock feet with no hat on, and I stood up beside him, and I'm kind of looking at him like this, just messing with him because he's an old curmudgeon, And he goes, "Shut up, Worley." And so I've made sure to tell everybody since then that I'm just a wee bit taller than Trace.
Well, you've never met Daryl. Both of them are pretty darn tall, but what, 6'6"?
I'm almost 6'7", and my daughter gets mad because I don't just say 6'7". She says, "You're supposed to round up, Dad." And but I just say 6'6" because that's weird. I'm 6'6.5". Then people start thinking, man, he's making sure that he's 6'6.5".
Trust me, it's a lot more pathetic when you're somebody like me and you're rounding up from 5'11.5" to 6 foot, and at some point you feel like you're a liar and you just can't take credit for 6 foot.
My brother says that he didn't quite make 6 foot, and he just goes 5'11", and he really is literally like an eighth of an inch from 6 foot, and he goes, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to claim it. I don't want it. How are things going? In your world. I mean, obviously with the Gaylord Opryland thing, it's got to be a blast.
I tell you, we've just got a lot of stuff going on that I never dreamed of, and this Gaylord Opryland thing is one of those. And that thing out there is, I've been using this word. This is new, but I truly mean this. It's magical. It is magical. And my daughter, my wife, they don't see me in this atmosphere very often. And once I got in there and got comfortable with, exactly what it is that we're doing, we've turned it on, and people are loving this show, and it's multifaceted. You know, we celebrate every different level of Christmas. We were up front. We talked to them about, you know, what this was supposed to be, and I said to them, I don't do Christmas without Christ. That's a big deal for me, and they were totally cool with that. And it's just we have. I'll give you a little rundown on the music. We have literally original Christmas songs that I wrote over 20 years ago. We have the classic Christmas songs. We have Darryl Worley hit songs. We have music that no one's ever heard before that's going to be out this coming year. And then, like I said, the show takes a spiritual turn toward the end, and it's a huge ending with a really great message for Christmas. So there you go.
That sounds awesome.
It's cool,
that's
man.
really good. Well, we'll talk about that. I want to ask, just having you in studio, there's 1,000 different questions to ask you, but are you happy? This might be a difficult one. I don't want to cause controversy, but are you happy with the way that country music is going?
Oh, I hate it. Maybe you should just go ahead and open that can of worms. But let me tell you this, man.
Should we do this interview if he's going to censor himself?
Right. If you're not going to answer the questions, Darryl, come on, man.
Let me tell you this, though. I should be on my knees just giving thanks because of what's going on in my world, if you will. Things have changed for us like you would not believe over the past year and a half. And the things that are happening for us right now because of the state of country music, I am so thankful that it went there, because my career, it's like I'm starting over.
Right.
And I never saw this coming. People have been screaming, it's going to come around. It's going to come around at me for 25 years. And I went, yeah, I've been hearing that for a long time, and I don't know how much of that I believe. But guess what? Now there's other people believing that, like record labels and booking agencies and show buyers. They're actually seeing it happen, and I just didn't think that was going to come about. And so,
and these are young, and I don't want to speak for you and your shows, but these are younger people. These are people that are longing for old school country music.
We just left a different interview segment, and that was what we talked about, and they were talking about the demographics, and now it's showing up in that younger group of people, and it's even visible at the shows. Some of the things that I've experienced, I'm like, you're not looking for this, but you say something to the effect to kind of let them know up front that you're a little bit more from the old school. So what you're going to get a taste of today is a little more of a traditional country kind of a show, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know how you feel about the new stuff. And I'm going, are you kidding
now I do.
me? And so it's just, I don't know, man. I did not, like I said, I didn't see this coming, but I'm not complaining about it. So
when you were first coming up and making your bones and making a name for yourself, who did you look to? Not to emulate, but who did you look up to?
Well, I was influenced by the truth of the matter is, so I'm older, and my first record deal came when I was 35 years old. They thought I was 25 years old, and that's the God's honest truth. Nobody when I got signed in 2000, or not 99, when I got signed, nobody 35 years old was getting record deals. I promise you that. And I really came to town.
Was it 2000 when you got signed?
Yeah. I was the guy that did 90s country in the 2000s. Seriously. That's how, that's kind of sort of my MO, and DreamWorks was incredibly powerful at that time, especially the promotion staff, and they took those songs and they worked hard with me. I worked like a dog, but they worked hard with me, and we made them happen. Eventually, this new stuff we're talking about kind of, it plowed me under, but we knew at some point we wouldn't be able to hold out, but I'm telling you, so I'm doing stuff with Big Machine here now. That's the exact same people that was running DreamWorks at the time. So I'm right. It's like I come full circle, and honestly, it's just really exciting right now what's happening, and I see some of the change in the way it's leaning now, and I didn't I didn't. I was the last one to see it because I didn't believe it was going to happen. But anyway.
So a good interviewer would know the answer to this, but I don't. So, what did you do? Were you just grinding until you got the deal? You're just in the clubs, you're just doing the thing you're grinding about?
Well, me and this lady right here, this is my manager, Julianne Drennan, and she's worked like hell to make this just stay alive. And I have other skills. I'm a biochemist. There's other things that I could go do and make a living.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You're a biochemist?
I am a biochemist.
That's pretty badass in and of itself.
I don't like talking about that a whole lot because, I get those things like.
I'm not going to give you a COVID-19 question.
Can country music people really be biochemists?
You're like that actress that's actually a neuroscientist, I forget who she is. She's like, seriously, I'm a neuroscientist. I'm not kidding.
Are you following the Brian May School of Music?
That's pretty cool.
Because Brian May's got a PhD in astrophysics.
Brian May, guitarist Queen.
I think I heard that.
That's pretty cool.
And you're thinking of Mayim Bialik.
Right.
Yeah, the neuroscientist or whatever she is. So, yeah,
I just never, once I got the opportunity to do this, which, to be perfectly honest with you, when I came to town, I didn't think the artist thing was ever going to happen.
How old were you when you came here?
About just before I turned 30. But
before then, early on, like when you were 18, 19, 20, did you I want to be a country music star? Or did it not occur to you?
When I got out of college, I was going to come right back. I was going to take a year off and come right back to and go to med school. I did well on. I had a really incredible grade point average, and I did well on the MCATs, and so I was getting ready to start applying, and I started writing songs. I had always written songs, but I started getting really serious with it, and I always had a band. We always played music, and so coming out of college, I thought, well, I'll throw some of these songs at some of these publishers. I got nothing to lose, and then I'll get on with med school, and people started to bite on my songs pretty quick. They said, man, some of this stuff is good. Who'd you write it with? I was like, write it with? I wrote them by myself because I didn't know anything about co-writing. So I just never made it back to med school. And I'm thankful for that because it was a dream that, it's one of those things where if you don't try it, you never know. And
how different was it, or was it different 25 years ago versus today in Nashville? And I'll give you an example. My wife and I, when we had first gotten here, we went down to Leaper's Fork down at Fox and Lock, right?
Sure.
And I'd been here a year before she got here, and so I kind of knew the lay of the land. And we're at lunch. It's on like a Thursday, and there's a young guy sitting up there singing, and he's good.
Yeah.
He's really good. And my wife, I love her to death. She's a little naive. She goes, man, he's going places. This guy's going to get that. This guy's good. And I said, honey, you might be right. I said, but there's 1,000 of this guy.
Oh, more like 1 million.
Or, they're every. Was it like that 25 years ago?
Well, it was. I'll tell you this. The week before I knew that my deal was going to be final at DreamWorks, I was in a doctor's office, and I picked up this magazine. It was the Nashville Scene or something, It's a pretty official that type magazine, and I was reading it, and it had an article in there about young men and women pursuing major label deals in Nashville, and it had an odds in there that you're, I think, 10 times more likely to be struck by lightning than to get a major label recording contract in Nashville at this time. This was, like I said, 25 years ago. And I did those numbers. That wasn't too hard. And I thought, man, I'm really blessed to have this opportunity to do this, especially at my age. And so, I've always known that there was a reason. And I honestly believe that we've been through all that we've gone through to get to now. Because I was trying as hard as I could to get on that train that came through. You asked me about influences. That's how we got started on all this. That train that came through in the late 80s and the early 90s was Randy Travis, and it had Clint Black and Alan Jackson,
George
Garth
Strait's
Brooks and George Strait and all the, and then obviously my influence, a lot of them came before these guys. But those were the guys that I'd said, that's what I want to do right there. That's the kind of music, that's the whole deal. And I didn't make that train. If I'd have made that train, you might not be talking to me right now.
I'm small taters. Is it intimidating? You first did the Opry soon after your record, your first record. I mean, when did you first do the Grand Ole Opry? Early 2000s?
Yeah. It was in 2000.
Was it intimidating?
I didn't know any better. I went out there. It was a weird thing that happened that night. I said, "There's so much I want to say and so much I want to do." I wanted to play like more songs than they asked me to play, and then they said, "Well, of course you can't do that. You have to do what they ask you to do, and that's it." When we got out there, believe it or not, I had written a song for that night. It's called "Borrowed Wings." Tonight I'll fly on borrowed wings, because of all the other people who've graced that stage, you just feel that going in, And so we got there, and they said, this is, a lot of people don't know this. They came up to me and they said, Marty Stewart was supposed to be there at night. Something happened to his bus just right outside of Nashville, and he wasn't going to make it there. And they said, "Could you fill in like an extra, say, 10 minutes?" I said, "Can I?" I said, "That's playing right into my hands." And I got to sing all 3 songs I wanted to sing and talk and say the things I wanted to say that night. And we didn't do a whole band. There was 3 of us with acoustic guitars, some good harmony and those songs. And that was my first opera. Jeannie Seeley introduced me that night. She came out to my show the other night, and I reminded her of that.
What a treasure she is.
Yes.
We listen. My wife and I love driving around on the weekends and listening to Jeannie on Sirius XM on Willie's Roadhouse. It's so good.
Absolutely.
So good. And now, I mean, full circle, here you are right across the street at the Gaylord Opryland headlining the big Christmas spectacular. What about that, man?
Well, these guys here pitched that for a long time, and I don't know that it would have ever happened without their efforts, because I'm just out there working. But yeah, you said it earlier. We ground it out, and now some things are happening, and this is one of them. Man, I said a prayer maybe a year and a half ago, and I didn't ask for money. I didn't ask for more fame or whatever. I didn't ask for any of that stuff, because I've already seen what that stuff can do to you. I said, let some things happen. Lord, let some things happen that would show my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, what her daddy used to do. What all that means. And I told my wife, I said, I've held her up in front of 20,000 people, but she don't remember that. And so
that's pretty
boom,
cool.
This Christmas thing happened. It's like that's why I say magical. It's like a dream come true. She started coming out to our rehearsals because she wants to sing in a couple of nights at my show, and she's going to. I hope some people get lucky and get to show up on that night, because it's really special. Cool. But she told her mom one night when they left the rehearsal hall, they were going home, she goes, "Mom, this is for real, isn't it? I didn't realize." And because she heard us rehearse the last number, which is a pretty big moment in the show. And she goes, "I didn't know that Dad could do that." And her mom's like, "Well, honey, I've been trying to tell you." She goes, "He's a pro."
she just thought you're some dude that used to was. Right?
Well, no, she thought I'm just a honky tonk player, and that's all. I said, "Yeah, I do that too." But I just think it's magical, because she's starting to see this, and yes, we're out there. Gaylord gave me this opportunity to share, what I think of as my ultimate Christmas. And I'm telling you, Christmas was big at my house. We didn't have this like over the top stuff, but we had necessities. But Christmas time was big, because Mom and Dad wanted to instill a lot of things in us that come at Christmas time, and they made Christmas big so we would remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they did it, and it was a successful venture on their part. And so I get to take that Christmas spirit that I'm talking about, and I get to share it with people from all over the globe. And I could never thank Gaylord enough for that opportunity. It's just been amazing, and we won't want it to end. Even though I usually take the whole month of December off, this has just been over the top.
We're going to talk about opportunities for you to get tickets in just a moment. I have to do this. I have to pay some bills, otherwise I get in trouble. Daryl Worley is our incredible guest. 224 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let me tell you about the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. When I first got to Nashville, I've told this story before. I had lower back issues. I play golf, and it was limiting my ability to play golf. I also had an upper neck thing that I thought was stress-related. I go to the Dr. Gill Center, and Dr. Wendy diagnoses two things. One, I had spinal decompressions in two places, and she said, first, I want to tackle this neck issue because it can cause some very serious and debilitating problems down the road. And she shows me on x-ray. She takes x-rays in the first consultation, and she shows me what possibly could happen via surgery. Daryl Worley's showing me the surgery scar right now. I wish he'd have gone to the Dr. Gill Center. Maybe they could have helped. Because here's the deal. The decompression therapy that we went through it alleviated the pain immediately. And after 3 months of therapy, I don't have pain anymore. We've taken care of that compression in my upper neck. I work on the lower back. That's going to be more of a permanent deal. But thank you to the Dr. Gill Center. Because of what they do with my lower back, I don't have to worry about surgery. It's the right thing to do. If you want to feel better in 2024, pain-free in 2024, call the Dr. Gill Center at 615-882-4838. 882-4838. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Dr. Gill.
Three of the nation's top universities being investigated by the House of Representatives. Drunk driving near Nashville's airport, and the U.S. military has grounded all of its Osprey aircraft. We'll tell you why. 2:30 Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, McMorray. Matt Murphy and you, more importantly, Daryl Worley is here talking about his Gaylord Opryland event, this Christmas spectacular. What do we call this? Christmas spectacular?
It's called Daryl Worley and Friends Home for the Holidays.
Well, there you go. How can we get, before I forget, because I'm prone to do so, how can we get tickets? How can we find out more about it?
You read that website. It's right in front of you somewhere there.
I bet it is.
Tell me what it is, guys. It's
Christmas at GaylordOpryland.com.
Christmas at GaylordOpryland.com. That's a mouthful. I didn't come up with that, but here's the deal. So
if you type in Gaylord Opryland Daryl Worley, I promise you get
it'll pop up.
Yeah.
So we do have just a couple quick things I want to mention. These are like discounts, and I was so thankful that Gaylord helped us get this in place. for all of our veterans and military connection people. If you're buying tickets, you type in that it's just the word military is your special code to get you $20 off your tickets. Same thing with first responders. Type in hero, and you'll get $20 off your tickets. And then outside of that, everybody can buy tickets. You can get VIP tickets. There's every different level of tickets. Come to the show. A different guest every week. We've had the Isaacs and Dina Carter. This week is Andy Griggs and Billy Gilman. And then next week's Billy Dean. And then we got Lori Morgan. And then Andy Griggs comes back for a few nights. So
sweet. It's
pretty cool the way everybody's rotating in and out. And I'm telling you, it's a great experience. When we first got out there, I was a little bit, we're honky-tonking most of the time and playing fairs and festivals. So that this environment was just a bit different for me. We took us one night to figure it out. The shows are going incredible. I mean, I'm like Dean Martin up there, man. It's going good. And we are really having fun. We usually, like I said, I take the month of December off to hunt with my daughter, and we hunt and fish the whole time. And this is the first time in a long time that I've done anything.
Is this what y'all go Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
We play our last show on Christmas Day.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's got to be a special. That's got to be one of the more special ones. I mean, on the day.
I don't even know yet. This will be my first time. But, we started off on Thanksgiving Day. And you know that I would have never believed this, but that was one of our biggest crowds yet.
Nice.
And I just thought people would be at home.
Right.
But it's amazing. And I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. And when I said, I came up with the word magical, I meant it. There's something that has happened to me during this time. It's just a special event, and it's very heartfelt. And I think people leave there with a great message. So.
Well, you're a great messenger to send it.
Thank you.
And, man, dude, we appreciate your time. Come back anytime you want.
Thank you.
Tell your brother to come back anytime he wants.
I'll bring him sometime.
Yeah, come on. Anytime. Our door's
Tom,
always
we're
open.
listening to you too, man.
Daryl, it's been an absolute joy. I wish it could go on forever. And best of luck with the event. You don't need luck.
Thank you,
because you got the skills to pay the bills. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
There's Daryl Worley. Go and get tickets. The website, again, it's hold on. I lost it. Dadgummit. Look at me. Christmas at gaylordopryland.marriott.com. I don't think I have to put in the Marriott, but it's up here. I mean, it's right there. I'm looking at it. Christmas at gaylordopryland.com for more information. Back in a moment, we've got news with Mac Maury on Super Talk 99.7 W10.
2:32, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 61 degrees in Music City. Starting in our nation's capital, 3 of the nation's top universities will be the subjects of a House investigation. Justin Finch.
House Committee on Education and the Workforce Chair Virginia Fox announcing probes into Harvard, MIT, and Penn Thursday. Fox noting those investigations will center on the university's policies and procedures following rising anti-Semitic incident reports on all 3 campuses. The presidents of all 3 universities testified before the House Education Committee this week, Fox saying the panel has deep concerns about safe learning environments at Harvard, MIT, and Penn, and cautions more universities should expect investigations as well.
A DUI near BNA. Channel 4 reports that a bus driver was taken off the job last night after being seen crossing over lanes and changing speeds. Airport officials witnessed the erratic driving and pulled over 35-year-old Demetrius Adams after a drop-off. Adams went through the sobriety test, and officers said that he showed multiple signs of impairment. The U.S. military has grounded all of its Osprey aircraft in the wake of last week's deadly Air Force crash off the coast of Japan, killed 8 airmen. Officials preliminarily believe a, quote, potential material failure caused the mishap. Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh says grounding an aircraft isn't unusual during an investigation.
This is something that we've done before. Whenever there is a mishap that a service feels needs either more investigation or just out of an abundance of caution.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk to you about your heat and your AC, but mostly your heat because it's that time of year, right, where you're turning the heater on. But this matters because what you're doing is conditioning the air. I was taught this by Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, right? Conditioning the air, meaning you're making it hotter or cooler depending on what you want out of your system. If you have a heat pump, and I do in my home, and Jeff's told me about the best way to manage that and to make sure that it operates as efficiently as it can for as long as it can. A lot of us do in this climate. But whatever your system is, Jeff can handle it. He can take care of it. He can maintenance it. And yes, when it goes awry, he can fix it. And if it's necessary, he'll replace it when it ream. And you're invited to give a look at the website, efficienthvac.net. And when problems arise, I implore you to remember this telephone number and give them a call. Tell them I sent you to Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient Heating and Cooling. So much response to our conversation with Daryl Worley, who's at the Gaylord Opryland Hotel over the holidays, Christmas at Gaylord Opryland. You can find out more at christmas@gaylordopryland.com for more information about tickets, and you're invited to do so. Speaking of Christmas, I decided, I've been telling you what a wonderful opportunity you have for a Christmas gift for the loved one in your life, and I don't want to be sexist and say it's for the guy, but you know what? Guys like guns more than girls, although girls can like guns too. And I thought I might as well talk to the man with the plan. Mark from the Safe House is joining me for a hot minute to talk about some of the deals they've got going on at Nashville Safe House. Mark, no pressure. You're just following Daryl Worley. That's all.
Well, no pressure at all. I mean, we have lots of really hot specials here at the Safe House for Christmas. So.
Hey, talk to me, man. I know you've got some deals going on, and you can't really get a lot of those safes that I see in the shop under the tree, but you can certainly get them beside the tree, professionally delivered. Don't let a crackhead deliver your safe. Tell me about them.
Well, with the sales tax free starting back in November, on top of all the rebates we have going on our major brands right now. I mean, you can save, some saves over $1,000. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. And, you've been here before, we have the large selection of safes in the Southeast. So, any type safe, pistol safe, gun safe, home safe, any safe you want, especially for Christmas. If you act here pretty soon, we can actually deliver it before Christmas. So.
And we've seen, and you see this every year during the holidays, and I wanted to ask you about it, and you probably talk to people about it during this time of year, when the bad guys know that you've got cool stuff in your house, or, it just break-ins, you see a surge in break-ins this time of year. Protect your valuables, protect the things that protect your loved ones by getting a safe from the Safe House, right?
Correct, but one thing I wanted to tell you, and I've never seen this big of an influx of customers coming in saying there's break-ins at their neighbors or their homes, and I really think it's a result of the lax border policies of Biden. And I mean, honestly, in 30 years, I've never seen this big of a surge of people coming in saying there's break-ins. And that's very concerning. We think about the border issues just down in Texas or New Mexico where they're coming across California, but it's getting here because our break-ins are increasing, and I know this from customers. So, which is shocking.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, and you just have to protect those things that protect you and protect your family. And obviously with, birth certificates and all of those various papers that you need to protect from fire theft, that's one thing. But those guns and ammunition and that sort of thing, that's another thing as well. We know where you are, 4th Avenue South, right across the street from City Cemetery. Are you proud of me? I've talked to you for 2 minutes now, and I've not brought up Megan Barry, although she's running for Congress. But I could, but I won't.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's another discussion for another day. So.
Mark, thanks, man. I appreciate you. And get on down to the Safe House with Mark on 4th Avenue South. Hey, is your when are you picking the Employee of the Year for 2023?
Well, it's still actually Joe Biden. He's helped me sell more safes than anybody, but, I may have to switch it up.
Am I at least in the running for this year? I hope I'm in the I know it's going to be hard to beat Joe considering his economy and how scary people get when he's in office, but I just want to be in the running.
Well, since you've really put me on the spot here, you're actually always my Employee of the Year. It's just everybody's running for second, kind of like the other, people running for a Republican president nomination. They're all second,
It's by the way, Mark, it's my understanding that I actually won Employee of the Year last year, and Joe Biden counted the votes, and that's why he's the Employee of the Year. That's what I was told. So,
well, that's a very good point. Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. Mark,
thanks, man. Go down and see Mark and the gang at the Safe House, NashvilleSafeHouse.com, NashvilleSafeHouse.com, 4th Avenue South in Nashville. We would love for you to stop by and complete that holiday gift giving with the safe from the Safe House. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of the show. Man, oh, man. A lot of you chiming in on a variety of subjects, primarily Daryl Worley over the last 30 minutes or so. What a great interview. What a great conversation. Worley got into it later on in his life. I didn't realize that he was in his 30s before he got his recording deal. And it's hard for me to fathom because if that was in 2000, that means that guy, hey, Bell, make you feel good. That guy that was just in the studio with us, Daryl Worley.
Who?
Older than you, older than me.
That does make me feel a little better.
It makes you feel better?
Yeah.
Because he looks about 15 years younger than you.
No, he doesn't.
You don't think so?
Not even remotely. I look way younger than he does.
Really?
Mac will back me up on that one.
Hey, Mac Morey, who looked hair color notwithstanding, because everybody knows that Bell K colors his hair.
Doesn't matter. It still counts.
Who looks younger, Bell or Daryl Worley? No, let me ask it a different way. Who looks like they're going to live longer?
Oh.
What the hell is wrong with you? Seriously, what the hell is wrong with you?
I mean, this guy comes in. He's lean, mean fighting machine. Lean, mean singing machine.
Oh, yeah.
Looking good. Looks like he just came out of the gym.
Yeah.
Or out of the biochemistry lab.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he worked up some biolab stuff to make him look younger. I'm just saying, he looked great. Watch on Super Talk TV and y'all tell me. And you can look at Bell on Super Talk TV. Oh, wait, you can't do that because Bell doesn't allow that to happen. Meantime, a lot of people continue to inundate me with messages begging Mac Morey and Bell K to come to our event tonight. All I can tell you guys is they're grown men and they get to make their own decisions. I know I will be there. I know that Dan Mandis will be there. I know that Chris Hand will be there. I know that we'll have a Christmas tree there. I'll have my very special Christmas season sweater on. And I know Brian Wilson will be there. And I'm bringing a special gift for all of us. I'm going to unveil those gifts on air, live, once Brian gets to the facility. He's doing the first 2 hours in beautiful Watertown. He calls it bucolic Watertown. That sounds like that they've got some sort of problem with the water. So I don't do
they
that.
Got botulism.
Yeah, because I'm not very learned. I don't know them fancy words. But he's doing the first couple of hours there. Then he's boogieing over to Mount Juliet. And we're there from 4 until 8 o'clock tonight. More on that coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll do things to wrap up our portion of the day. We'll speak to Brian Wilson about his side, and we'll wrap things up and head on out to Mount Juliet. That's coming up next. It's 46 after the hour. I'm going to do this now, And then we'll talk to Brian after this. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In a couple of minutes, we'll check in with Brian Wilson, who's busy preparing his broadcast from Watertown. The Drive, it's called, from 3 until 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It'll be a slightly different show today because of our big party that's happening tonight in Mount Juliet. Real quick, Bel K just demonstrating that he is in better shape than us in another way. I'm about to put this online. So our Cracker Jack security here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN is well-renowned. And we have 2 parking areas to either side of the building, both of which have gates to them. And as I have noted over the years, if you try to walk out of the parking lot, like just to DeMunbrian or to Music Circle East, you can't get out.
There's no way, because the gate won't open without the weight of a car.
The weight of a vehicle, right? The gates automatically open if you're inside going out, but you have to be in your vehicle. Otherwise, you have to have a card key to get inside of the facility, and then you have to go out the front door. Front door has access to the street, but other than that, no doors have access to the street. So apparently, Daryl, Don, and who was her? What was her name? Do you remember her name? I don't remember her name. His manager, Daryl's manager. Her name is, I don't want to be, Julianne. So Julianne, Daryl, and Don, who is with the group, they went out a different door than they came in, and they were unable to get out of the parking lot. And so I now have a photograph that I'm about to post on social media of Daryl Worley climbing our gate.
No way.
I think Daryl's like 60. And I got a shot of him breaching the perimeter of the gate, trying to get out. Poor guy. Kind of feel bad. He's getting it done, though. He's got his boots on. I mean,
I love it.
I like
That's
it.
That's not that easy.
No, I wouldn't do it.
That's a big gate.
I mean, you would be better off going under. I mean, honestly.
Well, okay.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, Daryl's already got a leg
he's
up,
right there.
You know,
so I'd have to jump, get a running start.
Right. I mean, I think Daryl Worley might be taller than our man Brian Wilson. I mean, 6'1.5".
6'1.5". That's tall.
That's pretty good. Right around Trace Adkin land. All right. So real quick, and then we'll talk to the aforementioned Mr. Wilson in just a moment. I don't know where Bell went. I don't know if we have that going or what. But Bell left. Bell decided he's out. He's just he's going to get an early start on the week, I guess. So today is the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. I have in my career been blessed to be able to talk with people years ago, obviously, to speak with people who were there on that date of infamy, as called by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, December 7th, 1941. It is right and proper that we remember this day on 82 years later, because it changed everything. It changed the entire world. It changed the face of the globe as we know it, because it convinced the United States of America that we could not look the other way while World War II was going on in Europe when it came home to roost due to the Japanese attack. Several years ago, when I was still in Birmingham, I spoke to a woman who was in her 90s. I want to say she was 99, and she was, maybe mid-90s, but she was a teenager, and her father was stationed at Pearl Harbor. And she told the story of that morning and the events that unfolded in an era in time when we didn't have the breaking news. We didn't have, radio was in its relative infancy. Television didn't exist. And it was a period in time where we found out days later, and in some cases from an intimate, detailed standpoint, weeks later, as to what was happening in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So we remember this day 82 years later, December 7th, 1941. Brian Wilson is with us on the line to talk about his show and how it's going to be a little bit different today on The Drive, in as much as we've got the big party going on in Mount Juliet. Brian Wilson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. It's been a very busy day here. As you know, the bane of my existence this Christmas season has been a 27-foot inflatable Christmas tree.
I knew you were talking about the Christmas. I knew you were talking about Solo.
Yeah.
I knew you were talking about the Christmas tree.
No, we got the sucker up really early, and then I didn't pay attention to the weather. And you're not supposed to leave it up in sort of blustery weather. It's not really designed to do that. And they warn you when you buy it. Don't allow the wind to get up above about 15 miles an hour. So I didn't notice that the thing had toppled over. We punctured a hole in it. I mean, and Cabana wife had to go out there and sew the hole back up with her sewing machine. And it's been deflated ever since. Today, once again, we got it in the upright position, and it's a Christmas miracle. I really.
Well, it looks good. I saw pictures.
Yeah, I got my friend Rick Burns, Pastor Rick Burns from the Round Lick Baptist Church, came down and helped us wrestle that beast into submission, and I think we're going to be good. I think we've got this thing nailed down so it can't move.
You buried the lead. There's a church in Watertown called the Round Lick Baptist Church.
The Round Lick Baptist Church.
I love it.
It's of course because round licks are much better than square licks or even flat licks, I think.
I would agree with that, my friend. What's coming up on the drive, Brian?
Well, we're gonna hit the debate from last night and talk about it, and then we'll also mention the fact that it really doesn't matter, but
sure.
it was entertainment. And then coming up in the 4:00 hour before I head over to the event in Mount Juliet. The legendary country music star Ricky Skaggs will join us.
All right, man, it's a day of country. I had Daryl Worley, got Ricky Skaggs coming up. I love it. All right, we're looking forward to it. There's Brian Wilton. He's got the drive, and that's coming up right after McMurray's newscast. And McMurray's newscast is coming up in mere seconds on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll see you later on this evening in Mount Juliet at the Cedar Creek Marina at Scoreboards. Until then, have a great afternoon, folks. So long.